Chris Broussard, co-host of The Odd Couple with Rob Parker on Fox Sports Radio. NBA dude for us, the guy we lean on, joining me now live. So, James Harden, Kyrie Irving, and Kevin Durant, it makes a good movie poster, but let's start with this. How in God's name, what can Houston get back? I mean, is this just one of those things that an agent throws out there, but can it happen?
Well, there's a few things to say about that. You mentioned an agent throwing it out there. People around the league are saying whoever put it out there, and it probably was agents. This goes for Harden and Westbrook. They did their clients a disservice because they made it that much harder for the Rockets to trade either one of these guys, because now teams know you got two disgruntled superstars on your hands. Where if the Rockets make a call to Team A and say, hey, we've been close, but we haven't gotten over the hump. We're thinking about going in a different direction. What would you give me for James Harden?
Right.
Now you're in control and you get a better package. Right. And so that whoever put it out there has hurt the leverage of the Rockets. But as far as can this work, I was just talking with an executive an hour ago, Colin. What they're saying, the word around the league is, now I haven't heard this from Kyrie or anybody close to him, but people around the league are saying Durant wants Harden and Kyrie does not.
Oh, boy.
All right, and because Harden would likely have the ball in his hands, right? Here's another thing for Kyrie to think about, or for those that are looking at his situation. Who is James Harden close with in the organization in Brooklyn? Mike D'Antoni, who was just hired as a coach for the Brooklyn Nets to assist Steve Nash. D'Antoni said James Harden is the best offensive player he's ever seen. D'Antoni, every offense he's created, has had one guy handling the ball and creating the offense for everybody else. Who you think he's giving the ball to in Brooklyn if they get James Harden?
Right.
It's Harden.
Right.
And I don't see Kyrie wanting to be the third best player on a team. He's never been the third best player on the team.
Yeah.
And so it would be a chemistry experiment to the nth degree. Now, I got to say this. As much as skeptical as I am about it being able to work, I mean, you'd have to give him a puncher's chance because that is some overwhelming individual talent.
Yeah.
But it would be a chemistry experiment of the most extreme order.
Yeah, I don't think Kyrie wants to hear in the huddle over and over again, hey, you're going to be a decoy here, Kyrie. We're going to set it up for Harden and Kevin Durant. I don't think that'd play well very long.
Set up in the right corner, Kyrie. Set up in the right corner.
I will say this. LeBron created player empowerment. I've always defended players who are mobile. You and I in our careers have been mobile. I think I'd be a hypocrite. But I do wonder, in the last 2 years, if this deal went through, Kevin Durant, Harden, Kyrie choose New York, AD, LeBron, Kawhi, Paul George choose Los Angeles. It feels very coastal. There are not a lot of stars if this goes through in the middle of the country. Is this good for the league?
Well, obviously, talking NBA like this in the offseason is great for the league, right? Almost, if you want to call it hot stove like baseball, whatever. This is great. And it creates more storylines, and we get excited about it. If Harden were to go to Brooklyn, we can't wait to watch the Nets and see what that becomes. I also would say this, Colin. Right now, yeah, LA's is hot. Brooklyn is hot. But I just think I even hesitate to say cyclical. It's just kind of the way it is these past few years. We could go back a few years and say LeBron chose Cleveland. We could say Westbrook chose to stay in Oklahoma City. Paul George chose Oklahoma City over the Lakers. So I think that I don't want to write off the small markets and say they can't get anybody and they're doomed. Nobody's choosing the Knicks, and that's the marquee market, in the country. So I won't go that far. What it is, and I'm with you, Colin, I'm for player movement, player empowerment. I never killed LeBron for creating super teams, never killed KD for going to Golden State. But I'm going to be honest, there's a little bit of me that's just like, when I look at Brooklyn, and I could say the same thing about LeBron trying to go after Kawhi last year. You had Anthony Davis coming. Now you need Kawhi. and when I look at Brooklyn, I'm like, KD, you're great on paper. Not just Kyrie, who's awesome, but Jared Allen, Joe Harris, Spencer Dinwiddie, Karis LeVert, some really talented role players around you. And now you want to add James Harden. There's a sentiment, there's a little bit of you that's like, do dudes want to compete? I mean, really, like, we got to get every single star to play with us. It bothers me a little bit. I haven't killed those guys, and I won't. But I look back at a quote Jerry Krause had about Michael Jordan. He said he never came to me about trading for players. He never came to me about drafting players. He never came to me asking to add a player. He thought he was so darn good that he could win with anybody. There's a little of me that likes that. And I'm telling you, when you debate the GOAT, that comes up.
Yeah.
So that's all I'll say about
That's okay. I don't necessarily disagree. So sometimes I see a trade. I remember years ago when I saw the Pau Gasol trade to the Lakers. I was on a plane on a tarmac, and I'm like, what? How did they get Pau Gasol? How did that work out? So now Dennis Schröder is not Pau Gasol, but he's an 18-point-a-game guy. He's young. He's athletic. And reportedly he's going to the Lakers, and they're not giving up much. And I thought, what? That's kind of, it feels a little bit like a little steal for the Lakers here. I mean, Dennis Schröder's a real player, right?
No question. There was talk, remember, they get DeMar DeRozan for Kuzma and Danny Green. And this is better. Well, obviously, you didn't have to give up Kuzma, but you also got, I think, a better fit in Dennis Schröder, who shoots it well enough where he won't shrink the floor for LeBron and AD. We know they need spacing. He can create plays for himself and others off the dribble. He's got a lot of swag to him, which I like. He showed in OKC playing with Chris Paul and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander that he can play on the ball or off the ball. So I like it a lot. Colin, part of what I'm hearing is that KD is saying, look, how are we going to beat those two studs with the Lakers, Anthony Davis and LeBron? And it's like, we need a third star that they don't have. And that's part of the impetus for all of this Harden talk, because here's the thing. The Lakers are going to be better, assuming LeBron doesn't fall off. And it's coming at some point, but assuming he has another year where he's a top play, the top player in the league or top 3 player in the league, Anthony Davis is going to be a lot better with the confidence from winning the championship, knowing he can get it done. And now you added Schroder, who's better than Rajon Rondo at this stage. Yeah, Lakers going to be a handful.
Good stuff. Chris Broussard, Odd Couple, you and Rob Parker, weekdays 7 to 10 Eastern, Fox Sports Radio and iHeartRadio. It's great seeing you, bud. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.